Welcome to demo video 7. This is going to be on gross pay for piecework, paying an employee based on piecework. So within some industries, compensation depends on the amount of work or output an employee performs for a certain pay period. So in this example, I'll demonstrate the calculation of piecework. And there are 5 different steps in determining piecework overtime. So I'll demonstrate those steps within this video and for these 4 different employees. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already typed in what I need to calculate. And within each step here, these are the 5 different steps. The first step is we're going to go ahead and calculate regular earnings for all the hours. Second step, we're going to calculate the regular wage or hourly rate. Third step, we're going to calculate any additional overtime hourly rate. For the fourth step, we're going to calculate the additional overtime earnings. And then for the fifth step, finally, the total earnings or the gross pay. So let's go ahead and follow these steps for Joseph. And we're going to calculate gross pay for each of the following employees. All are paid an overtime wage rate that is 1.5 times their respective regular rate earnings. So for one, Joseph Emmanuel assembles merchandise and is paid 12 cents for each unit assembled. During the most recent week, Joseph worked 48 hours and assembled 5,725 units. So in Joseph's case, my formula is I'm going to take 5,725 units. I'm going to multiply that by the 12 cents. Okay. That's going to be my formula. I'll just put that in parentheses there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that here. So with that being calculated, Joseph's regular earnings is $687. I'm basically taking the pieces or the piece rate times the number of output. Okay, that's for the first step. Second step, for my regular earnings, I'm going to go ahead and take the $687, which is the total earnings, divided by the number of hours that Joseph worked. And that's going to get him a regular wage rate of $14.31. So I'm basically just taking the regular earnings, which is this area here, and I'm going to divide it by the number of hours that he worked, which is the 48 hours up here, to get a regular rate of $14.31. For the additional overtime hourly rate, basically what I'm going to do is, okay, so in piecework, and to calculate the additional overtime hourly rate, we have to consider the additional overtime factor, which is typically 0.5, or 1.5 overtime rate minus the 1.0 regular rate. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is basically take $14.31 times 0.05. And I'm going to get times 0.5, not 0.5, excuse me, $7.16 for the additional overtime hourly rate. Now that I have the rate, I can go ahead and take the $7.60 rate times the 8 hours of OT hours. With all the calculations, my gross pay will consist of the regular earnings plus my additional overtime earnings of $744.28 total for my gross. That's the first calculation for Joseph Emmanuel. Number 2. And just an additional tip, or remember this note, to calculate the additional overtime hourly rate, an alternative to the calculation shown is to pay an employee at least 1.5 times the regular piece rate for all units of output produced during overtime hours. This is all hours after the first 40 hours. And then under this approach, the employer must ensure or make sure that the regular hourly rate exceeds the applicable minimum wage rate that is set for that time. Okay, so basically for piecework, this is what you would follow. If you want to do it the other way, you may. There is an example in your chapter that would show you that, but I'm not going to show that. I'm going to teach it this way. All right, for Dennis Tillman, he is a telemarketer who is paid 36 cents for every telemarketing call he places. During the most recent week, Dennis worked 42 hours and placed 1,596 calls. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and follow this strategy or this formula here. I'm going to take 1,596 times 0.36. Okay. His regular earnings is $574.56 for his regular wage rate. I'm going to go ahead and take the $574.56 and divide it by 42 hours that he worked. And that's going to get me to $13.68. The additional overtime hourly rate, okay, once again, it's going to take $13.68 times the 0.5. For $6.84, and the additional overtime earnings is derived by taking that $6.84 times the 2 hours of overtime. If we follow that all the way down, we go ahead and take his regular earnings plus his OT earnings of $588.24 for gross pay. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for Candace. Candace Baldwin worked 51 hours and produced 3,304 units. All right, so for this example, we're going to take, hold on, let me check something. Okay, so looks like I have more information while I got that all stuff in squared in. Okay, so basically I'm going to take 14,123 units multiplied by the 0.05 or 5 cents for each unit. For a total of $706.15 for regular earnings for Ray Humphrey. For the regular wage rate, we're going to take 706.15 divided by the regular 55 hours worked, not regular, but the total hours worked, for a regular wage rate of $12.84. The additional overtime rate, okay, is the $12.84 times the 0.5. For a total of $6.42 for the additional overtime hourly rate. So my total additional overtime earnings is taking these $6.42 multiplied by the 15 OT hours that he worked for a total of $96.30. And a total of $802.45 for gross pay. Okay. All right, for Corey Peterson, he's a telemarketer who is paid 28 cents for every telemarketing phone call he makes. During the most recent week, Corey worked 53 hours and placed 1,633 calls. Okay. Copy and paste again. Same formula or concept. We're going to take the 1633 and multiply by the 0.28 rate, or the amount they're going to pay for every call that he makes. For a total of $457.24. The regular wage rate is calculated by taking that $457.24 divided by the total hours. For $8.63 for his regular rate. The additional overtime hourly rate, same concept. I'm going to take $8.63 times the 0.5. $4.32 for the additional overtime hourly rate. Then what I can do is take that $4.32, multiply it by the number of hours that he worked overtime, which is 13 hours. So $4.32 times 13 hours for a total of $56.16 for additional overtime earnings. So my gross pay then for Corey Peterson is going to be $457.24 plus his additional overtime earnings of $56.16 for a total of $513.40 for his gross pay. And these then are the 4 different calculations that we've done for Piecework. If you have questions, give me a call. Otherwise, see you in the next video.